Hey everyone, it's your girl Maddie here, aka Beaver Mosh, and today I'm talking to you about Bewitchment of the Dark Ages from the Kansas City based band Garoted. And this one is coming off of Lava Dome Productions, and here Garoted offers up a absolutely nauseating display of thick, filthy, gruesome death metal. This thing comes in, pulverizes you, and then leaves. Absolutely does not overstay its welcome. And this record is not short on riffs. There are plenty. And they are meaty, they are chunky, and they are just very, very dense. In many ways, this album is pretty reminiscent of that 90s death metal sound, but it also has its own flair as well. Definitely the way this is produced, it comes off as particularly nasty and abrasive, which is something I've come to expect from Lava Dome Productions death metal releases. At times, this comes across as a very meat and potatoes death metal, which is something you need sometimes. There's nothing wrong with being that. But this record is deceptively that, because at times there is a heightened musicality. There is this technical aspect, maybe even a progginess, but it still keeps the focus on the ferocity of the almighty blast beat. On Infernal Death's Majesty, the first cut here, these slimy, chunky guitars erupt in with the muddy, chromatic riffs that are matched by these gruesome, bruising drums. The snare just pops in this nasty way that works with all the rest of the ugliness being thrown at you. And vocally, we get these sharp, aggressive shouts that sound very classic death metal. The music here will sometimes get more condensed and tight and feel very thick as a result of that, only to have all of the instruments seem to separate again and open up and then get more compact and then repeat the cycle. It's a wild ride. You begin to feel that pull and release of the solo here just sneers at you. It's very technical with attitude attached to it. On Black Canticle of Horror, these rolling guitars work hand in hand with these twisting drum patterns, and then the bass kind of snaps underneath as well for these murky textures to get absolutely suffocated under. And then the way that the drums will constantly change up beats separate from the rhythm that the guitars are doing makes this track feel like a really jerky ride with no guardrails to hold on to. These tremolos just wind themselves right into your psyche as they dig themselves out of whatever sewer they were birthed in. There's also these crushing, percussive strums that play a very vital role in this cut that just kind of strike you in the chest unapologetically and unrelentlessly. The double kick drum on Rites of Sinister Defilement just bury you underneath their sheer brutality and speed, and then the vocals do these cool, quick phrases only to pull away and then to come back in. It just really sticks that way. On Pestiferous, the way the bass guitar snaps next to these war-ready clanging snares, it sounds so vile in the most beautiful way you can imagine. It sounds bad in a good way, and the riffs here just get a bit thrashier. It's more focusing on pure fire and hostility now. I love the screaming harmonics that the band attaches here, while also interjecting these hellish screeches that showcased the vocalist diversity. I love the noisy, chaotic shredding that Chaos Soul Pandemonium opens up with, really asserts its presence aggressively. And then the way the drumming plays with volume will come in very hot and monstrous in the mix, and then pull away a bit and then kind of repeat, not necessarily getting sparser, but just less violent and just loud. And the way that the drums do this in communication with the rest of the instruments, it's really fascinating, honestly. The leads on this track, this album, are nothing agreeable. Very atonal, nasty, but with an impressive speed and nimbleness. The acrobatics displayed are rather musical. It just plays with the harshness of everything else containing it. Arcane Shadow Idolatry is just pure violence and punishment. Everything comes at you with so much aggression, just feels like these hammering walls of sound. There are these big, pounding chords that strike you with such a force that you will not be recovering from it quickly. Vocals do these very staccato, almost vomiting thing. It's disgusting and very unpleasant. And to make it better, these diseased cackles are tacked on. It truly feels like impending death. Unfathomable Manifestations actually has a bit of a melodic motif to it, though not necessarily melodic in the pretty way. It's actually quite dark and twisted and bleak, though it does stick with you. It is a memorable hook. On top of that, this is probably the most groove-oriented cut on the album, focusing on these thick, rumbling riffs without any decorations. The solo here is just as chaotic and unhinged, but it feels bigger somehow, like maybe some doubling going on. There's this dense echo effect. There's just a lot happening. It's pretty fucking gnarly. The closing track, Hearkening to the Age of Blood and Plague, is the longest track here at over 6 minutes, and also maybe the album's darkest, with some more doom leaning riffs, some slower passages where the bass seems to kind of slither underneath everything, ready to lurk and ready to bite. There are these angular honking guitar leads that just fly around, and you don't really know where to grab it because they're just going in so many directions at once. It's so unnerving and chaotic and purely disorienting. Overall, do you want a no bullshit, mean as all hell death metal record? Well, here you go. The riffs here chop and cut and punish, equally matched by the monstrosity of the drums and the gnarliness of the vocals. The songwriting is here. The production is deliciously grimy. And there's just a viciousness looming around every corner here. I have high praise for it, as I do for most things that this label does. Definitely recommend it. And hey, those are my thoughts. If you enjoy what I do, consider hitting the like button. It would mean the world to me if maybe you consider subscribing, leave a comment. I love to engage with those. I have a Twitter you can follow. Link to that is in the bio of this YouTube channel. And hey, keep it metal. My name is Maddie, aka Beaver Mosh, and I'm signing off.